What is a postdoc? So postdoc is short for postdoctoral. And so a postdoc position is a postdoctoral position that you are often only eligible for after you completed your doctoral degree. Postdoctoral positions are usually a transitional position in between being a graduate student and moving into your full-time academic gig, which more times than not, if you are a postdoc, you're most likely working towards becoming a full professor. And because they are transitionary positions, postdoctoral positions or fellowships oftentimes are never permanent. In fact, they usually last between 1 year to maybe as long as 5 or 6 years. But again, this is highly dependent on your discipline and the position itself. Now, I do think it's important to say that unlike maybe fellowships or grants or scholarships that you would get as a graduate student that would require some research or would require some type of work component to it, a postdoctoral position is an actual job. So you should be integrated into the position, be a part of your institution, and be responsible for a set list of tasks or responsibilities. Now, of course, these responsibilities change, again, based off the actual position that you are hired for and the institution that you are working for. So many postdoctoral positions can be solely research, and research-focused postdoctoral positions oftentimes are found within the STEM field, but it is 1000% possible to find these positions within humanities. In fact, the postdoctoral position that I have at the University of California, Irvine is 100% research with no extra responsibilities. However, it is very common that your postdoctoral position may have other responsibilities, and some of these responsibilities may be teaching, may be attending meetings, participating in seminars, doing job talks or seminar talks as the leader or as the person talking. You may be responsible to be controlling or participating in working groups or some type of research groups that is not about your individual research, but the focus of the general department or university or institution that you are working on. Again, the position itself will be unique to you and the requirements that they have hired you for. There's not really a standardized postdoctoral fellowship or postdoctoral position because the whole point of becoming a postdoc is to hone in your professional development and to give you an extra added bonus of training. And a lot of times that may require exposure to other things like teaching or like going to meetings or working groups or things like that to develop you as an academic or as a researcher. I do think it's important to say that if you are pursuing or interested in looking into postdoctoral positions, there are some positions out there that may be part-time and may be unpaid. And while it could feel like it looks good on your CV, I would highly discourage you from engaging in postdoctoral fellowships that do not come with some type of compensation. While gaining this training and background is helpful for us to reach this next level, it is very important, in my humble opinion, to make sure that you are prioritizing your health and wellness, and having multiple jobs or not being able to afford things because you're not being compensated for your work, especially in academia, is unacceptable. So you may find some postdoctoral fellowships that are unpaid or maybe part-time. And I highly, highly, highly discourage anybody from taking unpaid work. And if it's part-time, as long as it fits your own professional and financial, familial, needs, then that's completely up to you and your priorities. But I just want to make sure that I am explicitly saying that you can and should find a postdoc that is paid. Okay, so those are the bare basics of a postdoc. It's a job that you can only get after you get your doctorate degree. It is there to transition you into your full-time job and get you the experiences or the training that you need as you're moving through your academic year or career. And it can be anywhere from 1 to 5+ years. So why would you do a postdoc? Well, generally, I would say a lot of people don't. Many people immediately after graduating from graduate school go into their full-time position, and that is completely valid and a wonderful way to start your process into working towards tenure or whatever your own professional goals are. However, if you are somebody like me who was very stressed out about the prospect of having to immediately start a real job and produce real accountability metrics or have to work towards tenure, then a postdoc may be a great space for you to figure out if academia is the way you want to go, or to learn about your own deficits of the hidden curriculum or the kind of secrets of the trade that you didn't know before as a graduate student. And through a postdoc, you may be able to get not just the actual training and research and networking, but also an understanding of what you're getting yourself into so you can make a more educated decision on what your future might look like. Again, I do keep using the word training because that is generally why you would want a postdoc also. Now, for a lot of people, especially within STEM fields, you may be working to develop your own labs or to get your own data or to develop your own data set, your community, your clinicals. And so many people may want a postdoc to build up their lab or their experiences or things like that without having the pressure of a tenure clock on top of them. This way you have some time to collect data and to prepare for whatever metrics that are necessary for you to develop or prepare for tenure. Now, if you have any questions about tenure, please leave them in the comments down below. I could make a video about that because I am simultaneously learning a lot about tenure and would love to know what you would like to know about it. For humanities students, it's actually pretty similar. Using myself as an example, I did a very particular and straightforward dissertation because I didn't have a lot of funding and I wanted to graduate within 5 years. And because of that, I really limited the scope and the focus of my research to do something that felt very feasible and straightforward. But now that I'm entering into my career as an academic, I want to bolster up not just my own research focus, but the techniques and my community or network of fellow researchers. So through my postdoctoral experience, I am developing new friends and communities within the focus or fields that I'm more interested in. I'm also broadening my horizon by taking the time to do extra reading, to look at other types of projects, prepare for tenure in the regards of I'm working on a book proposal and I'm looking at writing some articles. And this postdoc, because it's a 2-year postdoc, gives me some breathing room to really prepare and to do this research without having the burden of teaching, without having the burden of having to hold another job and things of that nature. And so again, if you are somebody trying to expand your research or do a little soul searching without feeling the pressure of your committee on the back of your neck, then a postdoc may be perfect for you as you decide if academia is for you or how to be best prepared for academia. Which would lead to this question of who benefits from a postdoc. And again, generally it is about your own individual goals and desires to decide if you would benefit or not. Again, I think the benefits that come from a postdoc is the training, is the ability to develop your network and to build relations outside of your academic graduate school, while also giving you some breathing room to figure out what may be the best path for you or how to best prepare for your tenure track job or your other job that you are interested in. Now, I will say something to consider is on average, postdoctoral fellowships or positions do not pay as much as full-time positions. And so it's important to make sure that you are aware of what your finances may look like, what that salary may look like, so you can make decisions that are best for you to see if you have the privilege to even take a postdoc or not. Now, I do think there are ways to work around having lower postdoctoral funding. You may apply to grants just like you would in graduate school in preparation for these research years. And usually you could figure out a way to kind of add them together. You may also work some other part-time jobs or do things to that nature. But again, it's about your priorities and your desires, but it would be unfair to not mention that postdoctoral positions or postdoctoral fellowships are not necessarily the best paying. So with that said, who would not benefit from becoming a postdoctoral fellow? I would say anybody who knows for a fact that they are not interested in academia and want to work for the government or want to work in industry may not find a postdoc all that beneficial. Now, this again is about you, because if you still want time to do research before you start your big human job or whatever, then totally go for the postdoctoral fellowship. You do not have to skip it just because you want to work in industry or you want to work in a nonprofit. It just may not be worth it to some people if they could immediately go straight into their job to start to, build their 401ks and all of that jazz. Another group of populations that may not benefit from a postdoc are people that are financially struggling and may need more money than what the postdoc would give them. And again, this is just the hard truth of academia, that some positions are not well funded, while others are. So again, it's not that you can't find any good paying postdoctoral positions, but it is important to be aware of what their costs are. Beyond those two demographics, I think anybody could benefit from participating in a postdoc, though I think it's necessary to say it is not obligatory. You can totally be successful without a postdoc, and I don't have any hard stats, but I think most people go on and become successful without postdocs. So there's no pressure either if you decide that it's not for you. Nobody will look down on you for not having a postdoc. But depending on what your postdoc is, there may be people who will look up on you, or rather look at your postdoc as a positive thing. I don't think a postdoc would hurt you professionally at all. So if you are somebody who does have the privilege or the access or the ability to take a postdoc and you're kind of teetering on it, I will say that oftentimes, especially if it's one of the larger known postdocs that are coming from large institutions like the Ford Foundation, like the Mellon, or like the UC President's postdocs, those postdocs are kind of regarded highly across academia and would look really good on your CV. And in that regards, you may want to take it. Now, I would say all in all, I actually really enjoy my postdoc, and I feel very lucky and blessed to have had the opportunity to have earned not just one, but two really competitive postdoctoral positions. And so if you're interested in trying to figure out how to find postdoctoral positions to start the process or to learn more about it, then you should watch this video next, which is how I basically find almost all of my academic opportunities. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.